The Miami Dolphins are currently on their bye week, but there could be some trade rumors out there for the Fins. After winning against the Patriots in Week 5 and improving their record to 2-3, maybe there's a chance that Dolphins GM Chris Grier goes out there and potentially makes a deal to acquire some extra talent to this roster. And maybe they won't do it this week, but I could see it potentially happening over the next 2 or 3 weeks. The trade deadline is November 5th, right after that Week 9 game against the Buffalo Bills. And if the Dolphins continue to stack wins, have an above 500 record, their trajectory is on the upwards, maybe there is a chance that they ultimately go out there and make a move to improve this roster for the postseason run. And when we talk about these next 6 games, it becomes more and more likely that as this Dolphins team gets healthier, they will be able to go on a run. Think about this. The only team that has an above 500 record in the next 6 games is the Buffalo Bills, and they've lost 2 in a row. You're going to be underdogs in Indianapolis, but they've been one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and they're always struggling on offense at times as well with Anthony Richardson. The Cardinals have not been that good. Couple interesting wins, but they've still struggled. The Rams have not been good. The Raiders and Patriots have been an absolute disaster. You go 4-2 or 5-1 in this stretch, and guess what, folks? You are going to be either 7-4 or 6-5, depending on what you do, going into the final 6-7 games of the season, which could put you at a spot where you're buying at the deadline. And if there is any other news, rumor on the Miami Dolphins when it comes to the trade market, we will have you covered. And if they make a move, we will make sure you drop a video, so don't miss it. Subscribe and make sure you have your notifications turned on to all. There's only 14.8% of you that have that, so you never miss a piece of Miami Dolphins news. The first trade target or rumor, I'll say, is Haason Reddick, the New York Jet. But I don't know, can we even call him a New York Jet? Like, he hasn't played it down for them. He hasn't done anything for them. Obviously was traded from Philadelphia to New York this past offseason, but has wanted a larger contract, did not get one, and is yet to put on the uniform for the New York Jets. I find this one severely unlikely for a lot of reasons, whether it just be New York or whether it be the contract dispute. But this could be an all-in move for the Miami Dolphins if they felt like they could get a deal done with Haason Reddick long-term, but also the New York Jets. Taking out this year because he hasn't played, he's been one of the most efficient pass rushers in all football, having more than 10 sacks in each of the last 4 seasons. He was dominant for the Philadelphia Eagles over the past 2 seasons, and before that was even better for Carolina and Arizona. The only reason why it would give me a pause for concern here in terms of trading for Haason Reddick is the issue with this contract. He wants a massive new deal because he knows that he has a limited time left to cash in on a big contract where he can get 18, 19, potentially $20 million per season. And the Dolphins simply can't afford that, right? If they dealt him and they extended him, sure, maybe they could find ways to get creative around the cap issues, but if they have any want to keep Jalen Phillips around long term, then maybe Haason Reddick couldn't be on the table. I know Phillips has those knee injuries, but he is going to be up for a contract after next season. So it is going to be interesting to see how they play it. I don't know if Haason Reddick is really in play for the Fins due to the contract, but boy, oh boy, if they want to go all in and find a Jalen Phillips replacement for this year due to him being out, I think Haason Reddick is the best option. But overall, be the GM. Should the Dolphins trade for an edge rusher? Type Y for yes or type N for no. It's today's pinned comment, so if you get hit with YouTube ad break, let it play, go down, and answer today's question. As we get more and more into what the Dolphins could do after this and the trade deadline per se, I think an edge could absolutely be on the table for them. And I think another target here that we're going to talk about is Dietrich Wise Jr. from the New England Patriots. Now, I know trades don't happen often between division rivals, but this one seems a little bit more feasible than the Haason Reddick one. Why? Well, Dietrich Wise Jr. is actually going into the last deal of his contract and is a free agent after this year, so New England isn't giving a player away for absolutely nothing. That's what PFF also had to say on a potential Deatrich Wise trade. Said that there isn't a way, or he is a free agent in 2025, and with the Patriots not contending, 30 years old, he might be able to be on the move, having a 54.8 PFF grade. And it's worth noting that he's accrued 99 pressures over the past 3 seasons. A figure that is tied for 42nd among all players in that span. He is an underrated player for the New England Patriots. He's nothing flashy, not going to go out there and lead an edge department, but he is a captain for the New England Patriots. And I think if you traded for him, it would be a day 3 pick. It would be relatively cheap just due to the fact that he is an impending free agent. He is a little bit older, and the Patriots aren't really in a mode to compete right now. So I think if you wanted to buy low on Dietrich Wise to add to this room, which we'll talk about here in just a second, he could be a guy. Before we move on, we do have to tell you about Game Time, today's sponsor of today's show. And if you want to go watch the Dolphins in person, or maybe the Miami Heat, or any live event, sporting event in your local area, make sure you get your tickets with Game Time. They have the lowest price guaranteed, and they have a great feature called Game Time Picks, which just filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I'm going to go to the Mets, maybe NLCS next week, and guess what? I definitely bought my tickets with Game Time because they have all-in pricing, having the total price of the ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. They will show you your seat in the app before you buy, a full panoramic view, and they have a great deal for the Dolphins fans over at Dolphins Today. When you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only, but make sure you download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Appreciate Game Time for sponsoring today's show. What time is it? It's game time. Back to Deatrich Wise here, because he has been someone who has been good. And I'm telling you, he is consistent for the New England Patriots. And that's really all you could ask for, because he, as you look at the numbers here, has averaged, basically playing the whole season. He's played every game for New England this year. He played 16 last year, 17 the year prior, 16 in 2021. And like I said, the numbers aren't going to be gaudy. He's a 3, a 4 in terms of an edge room. But that's what Miami can use. They just need guys. Like when you look at what the Dolphins have with Jalen Phillips on IR, Bradley Chubb still on the PUP list, with no really sight when he's going to return, probably within the next month and a half, 2 months, but you don't know exactly when he's going to be back. Your edge room is very, very weak. You have Emmanuel Ogbah, your leading man. You have the first-round pick out of Penn State and Chop Robinson, who went 21st overall, but your depth is very, very shaky. And we've known that the Dolphins' pass rush has not been the strongest point of its defense. It just hasn't. The secondary has been great, but the pass rush has been lacking. They have 9 sacks. It's not good. Their sack percentage, not good either. Now, the one thing they do have going for them is that they're rated pretty high from Pro Football Focus in terms of their pass rush grade. But when you look at the actual numbers, they rank in the bottom 10 of every statistic in terms of sack pressure, sack percentage. So, yes, to me, it would make sense to go out and get an edge if you were going to buy at the NFL trade deadline. So maybe Dietrich Wise Jr. is a cheap option. And there's a theme in today's video, right? Yeah, it's edge rushers, because the last one we're going to talk about on today's show is Jamin Davis, the edge from Washington. Former first-round pick out of Kentucky, by the way. PFF says that the former first-round pick has not lived up to the hype. You definitely say that. And his 2024 has not been encouraging. A linebacker turned edge rusher, Davis possesses only a 65 overall grade and hasn't recorded a pressure on only 70 total snaps. Now, I got to be honest, that's kind of a head-scratcher. How is it possible to not get one pressure in 70 snaps, especially if you are predominantly rushing the passer? That means you are not very effective at what you do. But he has had a long career ever since being drafted in the first round. 49 games played. He's mustered up 21 sacks in his career. That's 7 sacks in his career. I messed that one up. But the reason why I think it's possible that the Dolphins ultimately go towards Davis is because the lack of confidence they have shown in the man they just drafted in the 5th round, Mohamed Kamara. And you could go back to the tape, was very, very high on Mohamed Kamara when the Dolphins drafted him. He has a high motor. He is someone that works for everything that he gets. And sure, is he undersized for the position? Yes. But I thought he was going to be a bulldog mentality type of guy that just weaseled his way into this Dolphins edge group, but hasn't been the case. He's on the 53-man roster, but has been a healthy and active for every single week. It is clear the Dolphins don't have confidence in him to play, and it was really shown when they signed Tyus Bowser off the practice squad in Seattle last Thursday, and he was active on Sunday against the Patriots over Mohamed Kamara. If you have no confidence in him, you might want to add a guy because Quentin Bell can also be tossed to the woodshed. And if Bradley Chubb's not back yet, I think an edge could be on the table for Miami. Maybe it's one of the three guys we mentioned. Maybe it's someone else. And that's what I'm going to ask you here. Drop a name for me. Name someone the Dolphins should trade for down in the comments section. You can say under the three names that I put out on this video. You can have a different name, whether it be an interior offensive lineman or an edge rusher. Just name someone you think the Dolphins should trade for. And that's kind of where I want to round out this video. If the Dolphins ultimately go out and buy at the trade deadline and add someone to this group, I'd expect it to be either on the edge department or the interior offensive line. Those are the two biggest needs for the Fins. Unless a catastrophic injury happens to the secondary, you're probably good there. I like your three linebackers in terms of David Long Jr., Anthony Walker Jr., and Jordan Brooks. On offense, your wide receivers are set, your running backs are set, and then once Tua gets healthy, your quarterbacks are set. So when you really start to dive into what this team needs the most, it's defensive line and pass rush, as well as offensive line. So if the Dolphins ultimately make a trade, well, I think it's going to be at those two spots. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel because if they do make a trade or more rumors pop up out of nowhere, we will have you covered. Daily content, sometimes 2 videos a day. So if you want to be up to know on everything the Miami Dolphins, we're the channel for you.